let's just start from the top.
Okay, let's start from the top. We put out gold equivalency. We did that because we wanted to highlight the fact that we have a gold zone that people probably forgot about, and we had three great gold holes in there. That's going to start with an open pit in the gold zone, and it's going to expand to a giant open pit of this moderate grade copper that has a lot of high grade, gold and copper within it. So we want to hammer through people's heads, hey, we have gold here too. And, maybe it was greedy, but we wanted the gold bugs to come in as well. But I think maybe it fell on deaf ears and people saw the gold equivalency and they thought, well, maybe they are going away from exploring copper and they're focusing on gold, which, really isn't the case. We're gold, and this release was with high grade gold. So that's what we kind of focused on. But obviously, there's a little bit of mental warfare coming in. The traders sell down your stock, and people that don't understand the results, they tend to just follow the tail of the tape. They see red, they sell. So I think that's what happened. But if you look at us, we got a lot of gold. We have 5 of our 20 holes have been released. We're fully funded for next year, and we're going to continue to follow the plan. And as we move north, I expect the copper grades to increase.
Yeah, so, when I read it, obviously hole 18 was a disappointment. Okay, so, I think we can acknowledge that. And, the fact that the news was gold focused, I think was a surprise to a lot of people. So, if you could have done it, again, what would you have changed, with how you planned this program and how you, expressed and set expectations to the market?
Yeah, good question. Look, hindsight's 2020, right? It's always easy to go back and critique what you could have done, but we did this from a marketing standpoint. We want to get some gold bugs into the story, remind people that we had gold, which is important. But, there's probably little things that probably do a little bit different. Maybe start the drilling program a month later, which obviously people want you to start it earlier. You start it a month later, you probably put out your news past Labor Day. So you put out your news now. A lot of the smart money is not paying attention, and the traders kind of get a handle of it and you just get sold off. Maybe a small little nuance there. I'd probably start maybe the program north and move 17. People, right or wrong, are expecting you to replicate 17. So, maybe a little change there. But in terms of the results, I'd still put it out in gold equivalency. The exchange wants you to put out your equivalency. They don't want to put any equivalency out, but if you do, it's got to be the metal that it's stronger of, which was gold. So, that's why we did that. But, maybe a little nuances here or there. But if you look at GT Gold, they sold to Newmont for $400 million. They went down every single news release that came out. So the fact of the matter is, the industry is not for the faint of heart. Only the strong survive. And any.
Oh, you just went out again, Tony. Is there something wrong with your Wi-Fi or?
From one of them?
Yeah, you just went out again. Yeah, you just went out for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, so I forget. I don't even know where I dropped off there. I don't know what's wrong with the Wi-Fi, but, pretty much wouldn't do a whole lot different. The feedback I got from our investors is, people don't like surprises. I think that gold equivalency maybe surprised some people. And then the other big investor said, just keep on drilling. Like, when people look at this from 30,000 meters at the end of the season, they're really going to understand this. And I expect some, new smart money to come in, form a new base, and continue moving up.
Yeah. So those who follow the story closely know it's always been about copper and gold. And gold was a big part of last year's program. But I guess the copper was at the forefront of the story. And copper has been on investors' minds in 2024. It's kind of interesting how copper has kind of really pulled back like 20% in the last few months, while gold has really taken up the torch and continued to make new highs. Your largest shareholder is Teck. They invested, I would imagine, for the promise of a big copper find in BC. What, have you talked to them, at all about, the program so far? And do you think that they're in it for the gold too?
Well, they still sell the gold when they produce it. The big feedback.
You just dropped out again, Tony. Can you go off Wi-Fi and just use your phone?
Maybe Neil or Charlie can take this. Something's obviously wrong with my phone.
All right. So yeah, Neil, let's move on to you. I want to ask you some questions about what you're seeing in holes 25 and 27 and 24 as you step to the north. The comments in the news, it seems quite promising where the bornite and chalcopyrite is, getting stronger and higher tenor to the north. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear. Every speaker has been cutting in and out.
Hey, Rob?
Yeah.
From where I'm looking here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's been good to see as we track north. We're seeing more consistent intervals of copper mineralization, as well as an increase in the instances of some really nice zones that, you know, at least visually look to be quite good. Obviously, can't say anything until assays are out. But yeah, we're pretty encouraged by what we're seeing in terms of the styles of bornite and chalcopyrite replacement mineralization, specifically through some of the zones down deep, but right up against the porphyry stock. Yeah, really, really interesting looking mineralization. So yeah, very keen to see the assay results from those. And yeah, as we track further to the north, just being generally a steady, subtle increase in mineralization.
And hole 30 is drilled in this target zone to the north, where there might be magmatic, feeder of some sort. How are you, what tools are you using to target that?
It's difficult to target with anything other than the drill. It's right now the sulfide speciation model is pointing to the hottest part of the system with the bornite and the chalcocite down quite deep, and that's below the depth that IP can accurately view to. And if we were looking at some of the deeper looking surveys like MT, you need a really large difference, I should say, between the feature you're looking for and the rock that it's hosted within. And there isn't a ton of magnetic differences, or there's not a big difference in the crystallinity, like resistivity, that would be able to be pulled out at that scale. So right now we're just doing our best, following through with the systematic drill testing, and I think that's going to be the way that we're gonna find this.
Okay. And Charlie, let's turn to you for a second. Obviously, you've had some experience in these sorts of projects, copper, gold, porphyry deposits, and the market response. What do you make of the sell down on the news, Charlie?
Actually, just first, Rob, to add to what Neil said there, yeah, we don't have exact targeting tools, if you want to say that, for the deeper min, to the north and at depth. But remember, what got us into this game was the ZTEM signature that runs northwest, southeast, that we drilled in 2022 with the first 7 holes. The ZTEM suggested this thing had legs, so we're broadly following that with the systematic drilling. So, it does work as a broad targeting tool. Then, with respect to GT and how we did that, that was basically, okay, we got something good here, let's follow up next to it. So when we started with hole 18 north at 17 on the section north of 17, that's kind of what we did. That was part of the systematic plan, and I think you just have to stick with that. 18 might have been disappointing to some, but it's mineralized all the way down. It's part of this broad system, and ultimately that's what's going to sell this baby, is nice high grade pods that will be able to link up with more drilling within a broad, moderate grade halo. Big. So you've got big and you've got good together. And, how are you really going to outline that and show the world that you've got something mineable? Well, to drill it off systematically, as Tony said right off the hop, and I think this wasn't cut out with one of the silent pauses, was it's atypical. It's not like some other porphyry deposits, but that's also what makes it special. Big, with some great grades, some really good gold and copper grades at surface in the newly named gold zone, and you put all that together in a place that's very accessible, etc. The infrastructure advantages are amazing. You can make a mine.
Hole 24 really stood out to me. At first, I had trouble understanding where it was drilled exactly, because the hole number is at the top of the map and the hole actually runs south to north, but it's basically drilled from a pad in the south, the same pad as 21 and 20.
That hole shows mineralization all the way down. So it drills right along that trend that we're talking about. So, it basically proves the hypothesis and verifies the hypothesis that we can connect south to north. It's visuals. Yeah, we haven't released it. We have, regular XRF going down and visuals, and it looks good. And, we didn't plan on drilling that thing 900 and something odd meters. But what we saw, just, you don't want to shut down in man, and it just kept going. And yeah, it wasn't all the same tenor all the way down, but when I look at that hole, the visuals, it's like, keep her going, guys. Like, let's not shut down in min. And that's basically what it what it comes down to. It wasn't planned to be that long, but you keep it going for a reason, and that reason is you like what you see.
So yeah, you like what you see in the news. You compared it to hole 2312, which hit 540 meters of 0.61% copper equivalent. So if 24 could do something like that, that would be absolutely fantastic. I guess, how confident are you would be the first question. And then you've got one rig all the way in the north with hole 30 right now, and then you've got the other rig, in the south. Do you follow up on that and try to step out to the west from hole 24?
You know what I would say? If you're drilling along a system, you can miss two to some degree. Depends how wide that system is. So what I would say is let's drill west to east as we've done systematically for most of the holes, know where that thing is, and then you'd be better able to target something along that. I don't know that I wouldn't have been confident or 100% as confident as I am now drilling along the system like we did with 2424 back then. But once you get some more west to east holes that show the kind of limits of the system, that's the way to go, because you can build tons more rapidly that way, because you get the west to east, you drill a bit shallower, you got the bottom to top kind of dimension, and you can step north and link things up, and you don't need a ton of holes to show that the system links up that way. If you've got 2424, maybe we drill another one or two at the end of the season that way, once we know that the east-west limits of the system a little bit better. So that's the way I would go. You want to drill across the system. That's how mineral exploration is done with the drill. You drill across the system, not trying to drill right down some vein, which is narrower. So that's the way to go. And it's not a vein, it's a zone, but drill across the zone, then you know where the limits are better. And at the same time as you're drilling across the zone, you're drilling from surface, near surface, or right at surface to depth. So you're getting that depth dimension at the same time.
Okay, very good. And then let's dig into hole 30 a little bit more, because this one is intriguing to me. I mean, I heard, Neil speak on Tuesday to Nate, and I liked, what I heard in that conversation. And also, it's this northern end where it's more abundant in copper. It seems to be more abundant in bornite and chalcopyrite, and maybe even chalcocite at depth. As you said, as you get closer to this magma source. Just tell us about what you're targeting in hole 30 and how you might follow up on that. If you get some joy in that hole.
I think we just wait to see what we got, and let's let Neil handle that one.
Yeah, I mean, hole 30 is really just a continuation of the systematic drilling across the system, like Charlie said, but moving to the north. And we still have another northern hole plan, pad site prepped and ready to go after hole 30 as well. Hole 30 is intriguing because, like I mentioned earlier, it drills into where the center of our sulfide speciation model is, kind of showing the hotter parts of the system. And again, that model is dictated by the data available. So at the very least, we can add to this and help plan going forward, potentially for those end of season holes if we want to follow up doing something fencing off of hole 24. But yeah, it's a good hole because it's in an area where historically it's shown that there's some decent near surface potential as well. And it hasn't been tested out to the northwest where the collar is from the historical north zone. But then it's drilling back underneath. It's going to get close to the porphyry stock, and it's going to be within that, what we are seeing this season come together, that sweet spot next to the porphyry stock down deep, where we're hitting some really high grade bornite mineralization. So yeah, it's a good hole from that perspective, but it's just part of our systematic stepping up to the north.
So yeah, it's part of the plan is to step further to the north and then maybe even to the northwest where it's wide open?
Northwest as well as northeast. Okay. We want to follow that broad geophysical signature around, and it looks like it does curl up a little bit to the northeast. So we want to be flexible with that. So we have a few collar locations planned for that area. Keep in mind, stepping further to the north still is something that's in the works, but that's going to be contingent. Canfor is scheduled to come in and log quite a sizable cut block just to the north of our northern limits of drilling right now. And that's going to really help out the exploration progress. So this season, the plan isn't to step too far north because it's going to be a lot easier to access that next summer.
Okay, great. Let's turn back to Tony, and if somebody has a question for the American Eagle team, please ask to speak, and I'll activate your speaker capabilities. So, Tony, one of the things that investors in the junior mining sector always like to see when a stock they own gets chopped in half is they like to see the CEO buy. They like to see the board buy in the open market. Do you think that we'll see any insider buying, in the coming weeks?
Can you hear me, Rob?
I can hear you, buddy.
If I drop out, just tell me, hey, talk to myself
Okay.
for a minute. Yeah, obviously you want to buy, but it's kind of a weird situation where we're kind of in blackout because we do have, information that the public doesn't have. So it's a bit of a gray area. The same thing with the Wally. I'm on the board here. I'd be buying right now at these prices, but currently we're in a blackout because they have a lot of assays pending. And obviously you'd like to see the board. You obviously want to see us buy, but we got to be careful because I see the XRFs every day. I got to report every day. And if people saw some of those reports or XRFs, I assume that they'd probably be buying. So it means I have material information that other people don't have. So you always kind of want to step on the side of caution. Wait till the drill program's done and then start buying again, just to be safe. Look, I think it sends a good signal to the market. But if I'm buying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 of stock, it's not going to make a difference in the stock price. But it could really make a difference in the way that I live my life, getting in trouble, being able to be a CEO, etc.
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's better to err on the side of caution with those kinds of things. How much cash does the company have right now, and how much cash do you expect to end the year with at this point?
Okay, so hopefully you guys still hear me. I'm going to go over something really quick. We have $12 million in cash. We have drilled 5 of our 20 plus drill holes this season. Copper gets better the further north we get. This gold zone is bigger than we expected. It has expanded. It's going to continue to expand. We want to drill the IP zone eventually, but it's easier to walk through a door than reach through a window. We are fully funded for next year for another 15,000 meter program. By the end of the season, we should have between $8 and $9 million. We're in a position that most other juniors aren't. We have a lot of high grade copper and gold within, the same mineralization that any porphyry in BC has. We also have a lot of money and we're fully funded, which is a lot different than most other juniors out there. So people that are selling there right now, that's fast money they wanted a buck. People in there, they understand the story. More people will understand. They're going to continue to come on. This is a 2-year plan here. We want to be in a position where we drill, we get that stock price up, we make retail happy, and we sell at a price we're happy with. But we also have to drill some of those holes north to south. Not all of them are going to be great. Some of them will be, but you got to do that to de-risk the project so a big company eventually buys it. That's what we're in a big position to do because we have the treasury to do it. So those are the points I want to get across. Hopefully I didn't cut out.
Oh, that was great. Shiny Rocks, go ahead and ask your question and please keep it on topic.
Hey guys, I joined a little late, so apologies, but I was just kind of looking at some of those grades of copper in the middle zone there. And, the bigger intervals, the big stuff, the 800-900 meter stuff. How do you guys feel about the copper grades under 0.2? How problematic is that? Or am I being too specific and am I just should I just overlook that until we get more holes to the north?
Maybe I'll grab that. It's Charlie here.
Yeah, go for it.
The way I look at it is that you still have some really nice grades within that long interval. Let's just say, it's 18 and 20. I presume you're referring to the whole numbers. But when I look at that, we put a 0.2 kind of cutoff type bar on those holes, and I look beneath that and I see the colors in beneath that. They're just a bit beneath that, and I see continuous mineralization all the way down. And when I look at NAK, I think, okay, this thing is continuously mineralized all the way down. And when you get the bumps up, sometimes you just miss them. Sometimes you hit them smack on. You've got to combine those two, and I guess one of the things I think of when I think about that is Brucejack, where I did all the surface mapping there pretium. And, you know, a lot of people poo-pooed that and said, oh, you're smearing grade. You know, you got these amazing intercepts that are 0.5 meter, 1 meter, and they're kilos per ton gold. And, you know, but how are you ever going to make that a mine? Well, they're just pounding out gold there and have been for years now, a number of years. I've been working there for quite a while, but I was there for, you know, 3-4 summers, something like that. And you just keep seeing those kind of patterns. And after a while, those patterns, you know, are just bearing evidence for reality. And that, you know, we've got this big system, moderate grades, you know, and the odd hole, it's going to be a little bit on the low side of moderate, let's say. But within it, you've got these pockets that you're only really going to outline exactly with a bunch more drilling. So I look at those and I look at that, the way we've displayed those holes with that 0.2 copper equivalent trace down the hole, and I go, okay, that's continuous mineralization all the way down, and we keep drilling beside that. We're going to get some more boomers. So I'm not afraid at all of drilling that central section between the south zone and the north zone, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing some very good stuff in there ultimately. And at the very least, we're going to have moderate grade, and it just shows the size of the NAK system. Big with some real great sweet spots in it.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Okay. We have a question from Alan Berry. Go ahead and ask your question. Alan.
There we go. I put my speaker off. I hear a lot from Tony about, you know, it often sounds most like promotion of the stock and not nearly as much promotion of the project. And yesterday I listened to the podcast where the talk was about, you know, you did the gold equivalent for marketing purposes. Do you think that some of this might be messaging that maybe doesn't always do you the best service for your audience and your marketing?
Look, Alan, good question. Like I said before, you know, hindsight is 2020. Look, it's a fact. The exchange doesn't want you to do equivalency, but look, Philo did equivalency. That was what we fought against. And then what they told us was, you know, one thing, if you're going to do equivalency, it's got to be in the metal that it's strongest of. So our holes we did copper equivalency, they're stronger in copper. The ones we did gold equivalency, they're stronger in gold. The only one we probably should have switched was hole 2201. That should have probably been in gold equivalency. I think it probably fell on deaf ears a bit. Obviously, when you put out news, more times than not, you get sold off. And I think it maybe sent a bit of a wrong message to the market that we're switching our focus from copper to gold, and that's why we're announcing our gold. It was kind of the opposite. This whole mine is going to start off with this open pit. It's going to unlock everything. It's going to allow us to mine this whole giant area of moderate grade, kind of like a Highland Valley. You need someone to pay it off. So we want to highlight to people, we have a lot more gold than people thought, and the thing's expanding, and that's why we put it out there. But I think it might have sent a bit of a mixed message that we're switching our plans altogether.
My question was more about the marketing strategy and, you know, pitching the stock promotion side of things over the project promotion. That was the nature of my question.
Yeah, look, we're in the stock promoting business. 99% of the people out there don't read past the first page. Let alone the title. So we got to talk about, the main stock and what it is. And I think we do a pretty good job of doing a lot of technical information, programming, etc., like we did yesterday on that YouTube. So I think it's a bit of a mix and match. But in the end, the people that are going to buy the stock are the guys that are kind of looking at the kind of high level plan that we have, which is to find a deposit, sell it to a major. But again, I hear what you're saying. And, as we have more and more information out, as we're in the drill program, we'll be doing more marketing around the NAK story. Unfortunately, during the last 7 months, we did no drilling. So a lot of it was promotional. So I hear what you're saying, but, keep on following us as more news comes out. We're talking more and more about the NAK project because guess what? It's a beauty.
I will. And thanks for taking my call.
No worries.
Everybody can see the table and see the different metal grades. So the whole controversy about gold equivalent or copper equivalent, I think it's a moot point. But obviously, when the news is focused on the gold zone, that is a little bit of a switch of the message, and I think that may have been what didn't land with certain investors. I really don't care if it's copper equivalent or gold equivalent. I can see the assay table and I can make up my own mind, as can everybody else. I guess final question, Tony. One of the things that some shareholders have asked me to ask is, how do you get another corporate involved, in the story? You got Teck at 19.9. Are you working on getting another mining company involved?
Look, that's always the dream. Another mining company comes on. I call it dilution without diluting, meaning they're going to hold on to their shares. It usually comes to a premium, and it protects you for years to come, and it gives you additional credibility, which I think we got with Teck. Look, I want to point out, we don't have a ROFR with Teck. We love Teck, but we're looking out for our shareholders. And if you don't have a ROFR, you're a shareholder like everyone else, and we want to get the stock as high as possible to reduce our cost of capital as low as possible. So, yeah, we are looking for another. I wouldn't say we're actively looking, but our doors are wide open for another major to come in. And who knows? There might be a couple majors in our data room right now. You never know. So if another investor wants to come in, we welcome them. But the only way you're going to get more investors in, big guys, is by drilling, following a plan, doing what Charlie and Neil said that we're doing. So the more news that comes out, the more high-grade copper that we show and how our gold expands. I expect another major to come in, whether it be a gold company or a copper company.
All right. And final question, either Charlie or Neil, or you could take this one, Tony. Just tell us, what are the focus areas for the rest of the program? Like, where are you really planning to go with the drills?
We're going to connect the north and south, which we've done. Those assays are going to come out, imminently. Probably going to wait till, September when everyone's back and ready to actually read some results. Our gold zone has expanded, so wait till those results come out. We have 3 more holes in that area. And right now we're going to try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, is extend that kind of main zone, step out to the east, do drill fences north to south, a little bit shallower. And while it also expands the copper, and hopefully we tag into some of that high grade gold that we think dips underneath moving north. So that's the plan right now. And while we do that, hopefully we get enough geology and geometry so we can vector into where we think that high grade horizon, high grade jewel box is underground. We know it's there. It's just about finding us. So I expect us to hit some jugular holes towards the end of the season, try to aiming for that. And again, the IP zone, that's something that we probably will eventually go to. I always say it's easier to walk through a door than reach the window. So we're going to wait till the hole from 28 that just kind of skirted the IP zone had. And, we're going to go for gusto, put 1 great hole there, and hopefully make, Glen Galata and the rest of those IP zone believers happy. But we're going to do that when we're ready, because it's expensive to drill. And, like Charlie always said, you don't leave the dance without the girl you went there in the first place. We're getting a lot of joy from this gold zone, this main copper zone. And again, we got at least 15 more holes to come. So hold on to your butts.
All right. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate this conversation and the update, and I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the program. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
All good.
Yep. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, all.
Cheers.